sports games of old used to be some of my absolute favorite games to play when I was a kid, and that is the topic of today's video. What is up, you guys? It is Zach, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we're going to be talking all things Mario sports games, and particularly why I'm really fed up with Nintendo on how they are treating these Mario sports games. So if you enjoyed today's video, definitely drop a like, comment, and subscribe, all of that stuff down below. And of course, click that notification bell so that you're notified of whenever I upload videos. And without any further ado, let's get into it. The older Mario sports games had so much class and personality and just fun fit into them. Whether it was the fun course design of Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, the brilliant cinematic intro and fun stage gimmicks in Mario Power Tennis, the boppin' music of Mario Strikers Charged, the huge character roster in Mario Superstar Baseball, and even the cool single-player RPG experiences offered in the handheld Mario Golf and Mario Tennis games. All of these games oozed fun, with many of them being packed to the brim with content like fun side modes, single-player adventures, and unlockable characters earned by playing the game. The important thing to note is that these games all felt like complete packages while also being creative and fun. And mind you, this is back in the day before games were even updated to give players content after the game was released. When you got the game at launch, that is it. That's what you paid for. So maybe I'm a little old school in my mentality, but I prefer it this way. When it comes to modern Mario sports games, each of the main three Mario sports games that we have gotten on the Switch have problems that have really dampened my experiences with them. So today we're going to go through each game one by one and talk about the overall content of the game and why I'm disappointed. Let's start off with Mario Tennis, which came out in June of 2018. When this game launched, I was initially mixed on it, mostly because of the single-player campaign. In the trailers, they boasted a return of story modes like there were in previous handheld Mario Tennis installments, and while that is true, the story mode being so vastly different to that of the previous games is honestly what to me felt like a broken promise. Looking back on it 4 years later, the story mode really wasn't that bad, but there were things about it that didn't sit right with me that linked to other problems I have with this game. Firstly, almost a year after this game's release, one of the post-launch content updates contained a new intro cutscene for the story mode. The original intro that the game had launched with originally felt super incomplete, was pretty short, and felt like it was just kind of shoved into the story to make a dull intro just a bit more interesting. But the new intro felt like the intro that should have been there from day one. One of the first things you see when you start the story mode was not completed until almost a year after the game launched. It makes this game look like it was kind of rushed out and they weren't even able to complete the intro cutscene. Also, one of the bosses you fight in the story mode is Blooper on a pirate ship, which is actually pretty cool. But when I originally played this game back in 2018, I thought that by defeating Blooper in the match, I would be able to unlock him and add him to my character roster. But nope, I had to wait 2 months until the August update to actually get him. I feel like most people will find this complaint to be a nitpick, but allowing you to unlock characters in the story mode gives you a reason to play the story mode. It gives you something to work towards, that being to get all of the unlockable characters. But holding Blooper back 2 months just to give people a reason to quote-unquote revisit the game later on is stupid, especially given the fact that it is obvious that he was ready to be playable day one. Other than those two main complaints though, I find the game to be inoffensive at best. The courts are okay, albeit pretty generically themed, with Snowfall Mountain and Savage Sea being the only real interesting ones here. The game does have some cute little additional modes like Boo Hunt or Shy Guy Train Tussle, but they don't compare to Terror Tennis or Gooper Blooper Volley. But of course that is my personal opinion, so overall I found the game to be decent, but nowhere near the quality of previous Mario sports titles. Unfortunately though, it all goes downhill from here. About 2 years later, Mario Golf Super Rush launched on the Nintendo Switch, and oh boy, what the heck happened here? In the months leading up to this game's release, I was actually pretty hopeful. The game looked good, there were multiple modes that looked fun, there was an RPG story mode, and it looked great. Many people initially complained that all of the courses looked bland and generic. Me, being the hopeful Nintendo fan that I was, actually defended Nintendo. I said that every Mario Golf game does have a few standard courses, so I expected this game to be the same and that they were kind of saving the wacky and fun courses for a future trailer. And boy oh boy was I wrong. The only two fun themed courses were New Donk City and All-Star Summit, and those weren't even there at launch. And I'm sorry, but the New Donk City course absolutely sucks. They basically just slapped some greens in the city's model for Mario Odyssey and said, work is done here. The course design is awful, and every single hole is a par 3, which makes these courses just not fun, especially when they all feel the same. And then there's Speed Golf, which is kind of a fun concept, but the walking speed is really slow. It's funny that I think that Speed Golf just isn't speedy enough. I get the need for the stamina bar, I completely understand it, as it balances things out a bit. But the walking speed should definitely feel faster. And last but not least is Battle Golf, and this mode had so much potential. There are a lot of interesting concepts here. I honestly love the premise of it, and it's a very interesting idea, but my god, I encountered so many issues with this mode. My character would get stuck on certain hills, the ball would go to a place I couldn't recover from. It just ended up being a frustrating mode. Not to mention, there are only 2 main stadiums, and they're both aesthetically identical to each other. Not to mention, the game is plagued by the same holding back content issue as Mario Tennis Aces was. When it comes to the courses, there were 6 at launch, and 3 of them were visually similar, being grass-themed courts. Post-launch, they added another 5, which brought the total courses to 11, which isn't bad, honestly. But thematically, as mentioned earlier, they are really bland. And with characters like Blooper with Aces, Toadette is a character that you meet in the game but wasn't released until almost 2 months after the game's launch. And that leads us to the story mode, which is also a huge disappointment. What happened here? They heard the complaints about people wanting the RPG story mode to be returned and half-baked it. And above all else, cross-country golf. That was the most tedious, boring, rage-inducing thing I have ever played. I honestly can't even describe it. Overall, the best way I can describe this game is bland. Bland courses, bland post-hole animations, bland story mode, bland music, just a disappointment all around. Lastly, and most recently, Mario Strikers Battle League, which released not even a month ago. So, the future of this game is still pretty uncertain, as there is some post-launch content coming for the game that we don't know what it is yet, but as for the launch of the game, I honestly thought the disappointment could not get any lower after Mario Golf Super Rush, but wow, this game takes it. It takes it like full fold. I will say, the game itself is fun. I think the core gameplay of this game is fun. The music is really good, and it has a lot of charm. But what it's missing is content. The modes consist of playing soccer locally, playing soccer with CPUs, and playing soccer online. That's it. No fun challenge modes, no single player campaign, nothing. And I know that previous games didn't have a whole lot of other modes either, but at least they had things like challenge modes, more characters, more stadiums, more animations, among many other things. And while all this could be added in future updates for Battle League, asking $60 up front and not having a decent amount of content day one is just really scummy. If people are spending $60, they should get $60 worth of content when they buy it, not down the road and people have to hope that whatever they add is worth it. Another big point of disappointment is the stadium. The game's main gimmick is that 2 halves of different stadiums come together to create one unique stadium, which is honestly a really cool concept. The problem though is that none of these fields have anything that differentiates each other from each other besides the outside of the field, meaning that the actual field, being what you see, for the entire match, is mostly the same. Yes, the goalposts can be changed, and the art on the grass can be changed, but there's no stage gimmicks. The stages don't feel unique. Each stadium's turf is just grass. No stones for Bowser's Castle or wooden boards for Luigi's Mansion, just grass. Not to mention, there aren't any stage hazards, no ghosts flying around Spooky Mansion, or banana peels in Jungle Retreat, or lava in the stadium fittingly named Lava Castle. This ruins the whole gimmick of two stadiums coming together because there isn't even anything to differentiate these two stadiums besides what's outside of the field, which you almost never see. And again, like with golf and tennis, they're holding back content. Say what you want about the characters they added later in tennis and golf, but not having Daisy in the game day one is inexcusable. I don't even care much about Daisy, but she is definitely a main day one character, especially when she's probably going to be the first character they add via the post-launch updates, so now we're supposed to be excited when Daisy gets added, or when Toadette gets added the third time in a row. Like, it's just super annoying. That leads me to the main point of this video. Nintendo, you need to have your games complete on day one. The drip feeding tactic that you have been doing for these games is honestly getting really old. These games feel like they're being rushed out before they're even ready, and then you drip feed us characters and courses to give us a reason to return to the game. Why must I wait months for Toadette to become unlockable for the third time? There are only so many times you can release characters like Koopa Troopa and Shy Guy before we get tired of these characters being held back, then treated as special when you decide to release them. Because we just know Daisy is going to be the first character they release for Strikers, and then it'll be like Shy Guy, Koopa Troopa, Diddy Kong, Bowser Jr. Like, we've seen these characters before, a billion times. If it was like King Boo, or Cappy, or EGAT, that's a completely different story. Those characters are special. But seeing characters that we've seen 100 times that should have been there day one is really starting to wear thin on a lot of people. Nintendo, you need to get your act together. It really feels like you want to do minimal effort and expect people to love it. Once you put love into your games that aren't the big Mario games or the big Zelda games, I feel like we can finally start getting Mario sports titles that have the obvious signs of love and passion put into them that we have been missing for this whole entire time. So what do you guys think? Let me know down in the comments down below. I would love to hear your opinions on this. I used to love Mario sports games back in the day, so I'm not a hater. It's just that the general direction they're taking these games, I am just not a huge fan of. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you did, definitely do drop a like. I would truly appreciate it. And then, of course, subscribe down below and hit that notification bell so that you're notified of when I upload videos. And check out the merch store. There's some cool ZakPak merch up on there for you to check out. And until next time, you guys, I'll see you in the next video.